Hey everyone, welcome back to the SwiftUI series. Today we're diving into ChartKit, Apple's built-in framework for creating beautiful, customizable charts in SwiftUI. Charts are essential for dashboards, financial apps, fitness tracking, and analytics. With ChartKit, you can visualize data effortlessly while keeping your SwiftUI code clean and efficient. We'll be going through some examples here today, but you can really see that's all you really need in order to get this bar chart. We also have some dynamic bars as well here. Let's go ahead and load that up. We can even randomize the data. We can see how it changes. And we even have a line chart as well. So in this tutorial, you'll learn how to create stunning charts using ChartKit and SwiftUI, customize the chart styles, bar, line, pie, and there's even more. And you can display real-time and dynamic data. You can make those charts interactive with animations and gestures as well, as we saw in the previous example. So let's go ahead and dive on in. Alrighty, I am going to create a new project if you'd like to follow along or add it to an existing application. So we're going to make sure one iOS app and we are on SwiftUI. I already called this one ChartKit example. I'll just call this one ChartKit number 2 and SwiftUI language Swift, no testing or storage needed. And let's go ahead and get started. So what is ChartKit? Well, it's Apple's native charting framework built directly into SwiftUI, eliminating the need for any third-party charting libraries. So it's SwiftUI first approach, no UI kit bridging required. It supports multiple chart types, so bar, line, pine, scatter, area. You can really do whatever you want with it. It also works with Swift data, core data, and API responses, and it is highly customizable. So now that we know why ChartKit is so great, let's go ahead and jump on into coding a few examples. So let's go ahead and just start off with a bar chart. I'm actually just going to rename my content view here, and we'll call it BarChartView. There will be some housekeeping we have to do down here in our preview BarChartView as well in our app file here. Let's also update that so we can get rid of any errors. So when we are working with charts, we also need to import it. And instead of, ChartKit, which is what I've been calling it, let's import it by calling upon charts multiple. So let's go ahead and make a simple bar chart for displaying some sales data, let's say. So at the top of our structure here, let's go ahead and say we'll call the sales data. And we can make an array here of months, which would be a string. And then we can have some sales. Typically with things like sales, it'd be a double. There might be, rounding of the cents and things like that. Alrighty, and we'll have this now equal a separate array, and let's have a bunch of different values. So let's do a few months. We can start off with January. And because this is a dictionary, we have the months and the sales. Let's go ahead and have this be 200, separate these values, and we can even copy and paste just to save some time. Let's change this one to Feb, not Deb, Feb. We can just throw some arbitrary numbers in here. It doesn't really matter. Tray, and let's go all the way to June. So we just throw some random things in here. June. All right, and I'll just change all these numbers just for argument's sake. Maybe we only got $10 in May. It's gonna be a rough month. Let's at least make that 100. Right, the numbers don't really matter too much here. And I forgot brackets within the array here for our dictionary. Right, we should be good to go. So square bracket, normal bracket, and then this is all wrapped up in an array. Okay, and then when we want to use a chart, let's go ahead and get rid of this VStack here. We will just simply reference chart. Right now that's been imported, we can just use that from the autofill. And we'll use a for each. We're going to reference that sales data we created above, comma ID, and we'll do the / dot month. We'll then grab some data in, and then we'll have what's called a bar mark. Within this bar mark, we can see that we have a X and Y value. So for the X, this is where we're going to put the value. So the first thing we're going to do is add we can see with the autofill feature, we're going to add the label. So in this case, for the month across the bottom, the kind of X coordinate there, I'm going to be putting the months. So the label for that will be month, and then it wants us to include a value, so we can do data dot. I promise this will make a lot more sense when we see the chart kind of pop up. And then we're also going to do the exact same thing. So we're going to do dot value, And this is going to be for our sales. And we're going to do the data.sales data. Actually, I think it's data.sales, right? Oh, and I'm making a lot of mistakes today. Our ID definitely needs to have a colon next to it there. Okay, we can see that our bar chart is occupying the entirety of the screen. We can add a frame to make that look a little bit nicer. We also want to change the foreground style. So in this case, it's currently blue. Maybe we want to change this to purple. We can actually change the colors of those charts, of those bars. Alrighty, and let's go down to the bottom of our chart and let's now add a frame. So for me, that's 2 braces underneath, and we can add the height. Let's set this to be 300. If we want to make it larger, we could do like 400 or something like that. When it's on 4, that's pretty squished. But you can actually change the height and width of this chart. If we don't define the width, just like how we didn't have the height before, it'll just occupy as much space as possible on the screen. And we can also add some padding because, you know, right now it is kind of occupying a little bit much, and that padding will apply everywhere. So we can see that we have our months, our label here, all across the X, so the kind of horizontal values of the chart, and then our sales. And you'll also notice that our highest sale is currently 800, right? So at the very top of the chart, it's going all the way up to 800. Oh, I have 2 things called January. I was wondering why there's so many things up here. So it's actually adding. This is pretty cool. I didn't know that because it's the same key, right? It's actually taking January and adding it together. So we have this 600 plus 200, which is matching up with April. Let's make this June, not January, and then our chart will update with an additional month. There we go, that more accurately. I didn't know that would actually happen. I mean, it makes sense when you think about it, but that's pretty funny. So now we can see our beautiful chart, and it is dynamic. If we were to change this to be 1000 here, you'll notice that now the kind of Y value on the right goes all the way to the top of 1000. Now we have our working bar chart. It automatically scales the data and adjusts the spacing based on values. But charts aren't always about static data. Let's make it a lot more dynamic here. So let's go ahead and create another kind of file here, and we'll create one from template. We're going to do a SwiftUI view, and let's call this one dynamic view. Okay, let's go ahead and we can add some more data to the top. If we really want to, we can even just go ahead and copy this previous sales data to save some time. So let's go ahead and pop it in over here. And then we don't need this text whatsoever, but we do need to import charts again, as we are using those lovely, lovely charts. And let's actually wrap this in a VStack. And after the VStack, we'll call upon our chart once again. And if you want to copy this data from last time too, feel free to do so. We'll say for each sales data ID colon, I remember this time, / dot month. We'll add our brace, and we'll say data in, and then we'll add our bar mark once again. So we want our X, we'll do value, month, and then we'll do data. Again, if you want to copy and paste to save some time, totally feel free to do so. I didn't know it was going to look that cursed. That's pretty funny when you just have like the bars ready to go only on the X. It has no idea what the Y is supposed to be. Okay, but while still within that bracket, let's go ahead and add a Y, and we'll do dot value, and we'll do Y. We'll put our sales here, and then for the value, we'll do data. Sales. Again, if you want to copy and paste from earlier, save a bunch of time. And let's go ahead, I don't know why I have this column here, and let's go ahead and add the foreground style, and we'll make it not green this time. We can go to the end of our chart down here, and we can add a frame. Let's set this to also be height. I think we had 400 on the other one. And we add some padding as well. Oh, and we need to separate those two values with a comma. All right, there we go. So we have our X and we have our Y, and we can now see that's in green, but we can make this dynamic by perhaps either taking user input, or we can even randomize the data, and you can see how it can change in real time. So under our padding, let's go ahead, this is why we have the V stack, we'll add a button, and we'll call it randomize data. Add a brace here. Okay, cool. But before we do that, we need to take our let up top because we're going to be updating it, and we're going to make it a state private variable. If we leave it as a let or a constant, it will not let us randomize that value at all. Then we're going to take our sales data, and it's going to equal sales data dot map, and add a brace. And at the very start of this brace, we're actually going to add a bracket. And this is where we're going to do our changing with our maps. We're going to do $0.month, comma, double.random. We're going to add another bracket in. This is where we can include a range. Let's do 200 to 1,000. So we're going to use that triple dot for the range. Let's go outside the buttons. We have to go 2 braces down. We can add a button style. Maybe bordered prominent. And if we want to change it, we can also adjust the tint. Let's do dot orange. Ooh. Cool, and there's our randomize button, and we can add a little bit of padding, why not? Cool, so now when we press this button, we can see that our data dynamically updates. If you have another state private variable, if you're grabbing somebody's stats or how many hours they've been doing something, because we can use state variables with the bar charts, it will be updating dynamically, which is really cool to see. So you can track things in real time if you need to. All right, next let's take a look at line charts. So I'm going to make one more example here, but there's a lot you can do. Okay, pie charts, kind of like those dot graphs and things like that. But let's make another file from template, and let's go ahead and call this one LineChartView. All right, let's go ahead and make some static data. So we'll say let sales data. Let's go ahead and just grab it from our content view over here as well. Save sometimes, so we're not constantly repeating ourselves. This one we're going to leave as a constant, but if you want to make it dynamic, you totally can. All right, and let's also import our charts before we forget. Let's get rid of our text. Let's go ahead and call upon that chart. And from here, we're going to say for each, you're going to notice a trend here. Sales data ID / dot month data in, and we're going to use a line mark this time. So just with before, let's go ahead and add our bracket here. We're going to reference our X. So let's go ahead and autofill the X and Y. If you want to copy paste, save some time. Let's grab the label, which is month. That data would be data.month. And I believe this one has been sales. So we'll do dot value, sales, and then the data dot sales. You can see how fast it is to make these charts. It's really not that crazy. And it looks like I am missing a bracket at the end there. Cool, we can see we have our line chart. Let's go ahead and add our foreground style to it. It's going to make this one red. And then what we can do is we can use interpolation method, and this is going to allow us to actually create a different or smoother line. If you do dot interpolation method, we can see that we have a few options. If we do things like cat molrom, I think that's how you say it. If I'm saying it incorrectly, let me know. But you can see we kind of have this more wavy kind of style. Let's see what other ones we can do here. So if we use our dot notation, we can say cardinal. Let's see how that looks. So a little bit less wavy, but still a little bit bendy. If we do monotone, I wonder what that one looks like. Not too much of a difference. You know what? Let's go to the end of our chart here, and let's add a frame, just so it's like a little bit easier to see. At our height, we were doing 400. Keep questioning it every single time. So you see the monotone also has some wiggle to it, whereas if we just leave it as blank, it's very, very sharp. So we'd have to, let's go ahead and comment this off real quick so we can see, yeah, it's pretty jagged. All right, I'm gonna try a different one. Let's do step start. That's pretty cool. I haven't played around with a lot of these yet. Step end. Oh, interesting. Well, you can clearly do some fun things with this. And you can display your data whatever way makes sense to you. If you want to learn more, you can always check out the ChartKit documentation, or you can go ahead and right click and go to Quick Help for any of these properties, and you'll be able to open it in the documentation right in Xcode. So how could we use these charts in a real app? So you can use things like a fitness app, a financial dashboard, maybe even implement this into our habit tracker. So now that you know how to create and customize charts, here's how I'd use them in a real world SwiftUI app. The first one are those fitness and health apps that come to mind. So you can track step counts, calories burned, heart rate trends, compare it over a week, right? Finance and budget apps display income, expenses, and net savings over time. Habit trackers, like the one we built in the previous video, show streaks, completion rates, and maybe even daily habit consistency. Or maybe some business dashboards monitor sale performance, revenue trends, customer growth. With just a few tweaks to any of these charts, you can integrate ChartKit into any app that needs visualized data. So now you know how to create, customize, and use charts in real-world SwiftUI apps. ChartKit makes SwiftUI charts simple and powerful. You can visualize real-time and dynamic data easily, right? Remember when we use the state private variable, it'll update that chart anytime the data changes, and charts can be customized to fit any use case. So I want you to go and experiment to add a chart to your next SwiftUI app and see how powerful data visualization can be. If you found this helpful, like and subscribe for more SwiftUI content. See you in the next one, and remember, dream big and code bigger.